This is Susan Wilbanks with blendedinsight.com. I am a holistic and integrative healing arts practitioner, an intuitive, and an energy healer. In this podcast, I share tips, tools, and suggestions that have helped me along my path in hopes of inspiring and helping you along yours. Let's get started with today's podcast topic. Hello, bright and beautiful soul. Thank you so much for joining me on another podcast. I am just getting in from a hike. That's right, people. Even though it's wintertime, I still went hiking. I have made a commitment to myself that I am going to try some different things. Like I talked about in a podcast, I don't know, maybe it's been a few months ago now. Old ways don't open new doors. And I actually love the outdoors and I love trail walking. I'm just not a huge fan of the winter. So I made a commitment to myself that I was going to join some hiking groups. And when the weather in the wintertime was a little mild, when the sun was out, when it was 50 degrees, I would commit to beginning to start hiking because I'd like to do the larger hikes, but I want to start small. And the only reason why I didn't hike sooner here in Colorado is when I first got here, I had altitude sickness. But the altitude sickness was also a side effect of being with someone who was draining my energy. And so there was a lot of things going on with my physical body. And since I've been to the mountains, since then, like over the past several years, and I don't get altitude sickness anymore. And I also know how to combat that. There's certain supplements you can take. In any case, I said all that to say, I went today and did a hike and the wind beat me up big time. It was so windy. I didn't realize how windy it was going to be on the hike, but it was insane. In fact, it knocked my bun down, people. My bun came crashing down and it was muddy too because of the snow. The snow has melted and it was super muddy, but it's okay. My boots fared me well and I came home and cleaned them off and I actually missed my turn. I was going to do an incline, a different type of incline, and I missed my turn. And then all of a sudden I was like, I think I've been going on this trail a long time. And I realized I'd missed my turn. So it doesn't matter. I ended up out there. I was out there for about an hour and I was proud of myself because honestly, even if I had wanted to wear headphones or AirPods or whatever, I wouldn't have been able to because the wind was angry today. It was insane. And that made me laugh too because I'm not a huge fan of the cold weather, obviously. And I'm like, oh, well, it's sunny. And the wind wasn't terrible until I got on the trail. And then the wind was insane. Tumbleweeds, Anyway, that's just part of life. So thank you for listening to that little recollection of my afternoon here in beautiful Colorado. And then what else did I do? I made more clearing spray. You guys sold my clearing spray out so quick. I've never sold out that quick. So, and actually with my clearing spray, there really isn't hardly any profit for me. It's really a labor of love. That's why I do them. I create them. And so I created more of those today. I did a really powerful meditation this morning, did all my Arhatic yoga practices. And then I made my clearing spray, it's very enjoyable for me when I make those. Every bottle has its own energy. I know that sounds kind of bizarre, but when people order them, I scan them and I let the bottles tell me which ones want to go with that person. It's a very intuitive process for me. So I really appreciate it. And the other thing I wanted to say is I have opened up more time on my schedule for private sessions. And I know that my sessions are booked out a little bit far. They used to be a lot worse. I used to be like 3 months out. Now I'm about a month out. So when people book private sessions, it just depends. Like if a space come up in my schedule, I always go in the order that I received the order. I go in the order that the orders came in terms of the wait list or offering it to someone else or the next person. And what I wanted to say is that sometimes people will message me and they'll say, well, I needed it today. And it's like, well, this is my schedule. And I want to be able to commit that time to you. To do the private session, I do a lot of preparation practices to get ready for you because I want to make sure that my channels are clear and that I can be with you and be the channel that you need to give you the information that you need. And it's always perfect because it comes through me and not from me. And the second you book the private session, our energy is already connected. And I'm always sending my clients extra love and my YouTube channel, my community, extra love, extra healing, and extra appreciation because this is the reason we're here, is to keep each other going on this path. So I wanted to say that my schedule's opened up a little bit more, but even when you book a private session and I can't get to you for maybe a month, know that our energy is connected and that you're already getting a healing. And I've had people without me ever saying that, I've had people reach out to me and say that they already feel better just after we communicated to book the session, even though we haven't done the session yet. And it's because the energy's already flowing. So I wanted to mention that. And moving on to the topic for today, I wanted to talk about the benefit of struggle. And I was going to name this The Gift of Struggle, but then I realized there's actually a book named The Gift of Struggle. I've never read the book, but I didn't want anyone thinking that I was doing something on that book because it has nothing to do with that. It just intuitively came in as something to talk about today. And the thing with this, I don't even know what to call it. The way the world is today, society, is that we want to have this comfort all the time. We don't grow in comfort. No one grows in comfort. And some of us have to struggle a lot longer and a lot more often than others. But if that happens to be you, when you move through it to the other side, you grow tremendously. And some of us are in that situation because we're here to teach and evolve and move through things. And every struggle makes you better. It really does. And if everything is just handed to you, people tend to not appreciate it. That's just the way that the human condition works. We tend not to appreciate it as more. But when you've worked really hard for something and you get to the other side, there's such enormous self-appreciation and pride, and it boosts your self-esteem. It has all of these benefits that come to you from the other side that you only get from going through it. And I can say this is happy. I mean, this is in all areas really, but here recently I've been working with a coach, and I shared that in a previous podcast. I think the one that, I don't know what I titled it, Old Ways Open New Doors, I believe it's in that one. But I talked about how I decided to hire a coach. Now, I've worked with coaches before, but the reason that I wanted to do it is because I wanted to get another set of eyes on my physique, and I wanted him to build a program for me because we have blind spots. It's difficult for us to always just do everything ourselves because we have blind spots. And also, all of us gym people have a tad bit of body dysmorphia. We have a tad bit of body dysmorphia. I say that in a joking manner, but gym people, you know what I'm talking about, because we're always trying to improve and get better and stronger. And sometimes our eyes see something that other people don't see. And so I hired him, and of course I have to do measurements and pictures, and he set my macros, which were already really close to what I was already doing. So he's monitoring it now, and I trust him because honestly, I've gotten a lot stronger, and my body is recomping, and my shape is changing, and my muscle definition is coming in even more after hasn't been 2 full months of me working with him, but I already lost like 8 pounds of body fat. And he was saying, well, you don't have much body fat to lose, but I want to build your muscle. I want to bulk your muscle. And what's interesting about it is the workouts aren't easy. They're different than what I was doing before. And so it's a lot of compound movement, and it gets my heart rate up really high. And he took the control away from me in the sense of normally I'm the one that's planning my workouts. I was using an app for a long time, but I've been in the gym since I was in high school. So I'm not new to this, but I've hired this young person to come in and essentially push me, but push me in a way that I would not go before. And when we send pictures in it, well, when he looks at my body, he's like, okay, so here's what I want to do. This is what I'm seeing with your arm, muscle development. I see this with your abs. I see this with your legs. And I'm like, wow, actually, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I see that too. And so he helps to affirm what I'm doing that's working, and then he can look at it and steer me in a different direction. And I so appreciate that because even just trusting the process for those of us who are used to just forging our own way can be a bit of a struggle, but it's actually been amazing. And so I'm actually seeing progress now. And I've been working hard for a long, long time, and it's consistency over time. These things don't happen overnight. And the struggle is what eventually will get you through if you move through it. The key is to not give up. And I just wanted to come on here and say that because I know that these times are tough. And I know that a lot of us have been fighting for a long time. I feel like I've had large uphill battles for most of my life. And just when I think I'm hitting a smooth patch, here comes the left hook. But here's the thing. You have the benefit of experience. So this is what I want to share with you. And this has worked for me. I have the benefit of experience. I have been through so much, and I've went through it while carrying other people that are not going through nearly as much as me, but they think they are. And so but again, it goes back to some people have like a gallon bucket that they can handle before they're at their wit's end. And some people only have a pint. So it really isn't to compare. It's my dharma. It's my purpose. And there are certain things that you don't know that are going on within you until the struggle comes. So have you ever had the experience where you think you're over something and then some tough times come and you start feeling squeezed and you realize, oh no, I'm not over that like I thought I was, or oh my gosh, I thought I moved through that character flaw that I had, and then here it is again. So those things come to refine us. And honestly, how would we know otherwise? If life is always just grand and comfortable, how would you ever know how far you've come, how strong you are, what you can get through, what you need to work on? So these are all just part of these tests. These trials are all part of getting us to the next level. And life won't be comfortable 24/7 all the time, because that's not how we grow, and that's not what we came here for. And I know that once we get here, we forget that, and then we don't want to do it anymore. Like I'm going to get, I'm still doing fascial release for my darn toe. And I appreciate you guys giving all these beautiful suggestions. You guys are so sweet. And a lot of my clients most of my clients listen to the podcast. So when we meet in private sessions, they'll mention something that I mentioned in a podcast, which actually warms my heart because you guys listen to me. You listen to me and you connect with me. And I'm not doing this. It's not like a huge, well-produced, all edited podcast. It's just me. It is just me sitting in my house, looking out the window, talking to you as friends, get a cup of tea, and I'm just talking to you. So it's almost like you're listening to a voice note of mine that I'm sending you. In any case, you guys were so sweet about that. And this bone spur is about something else. It's not a mind-body thing. This is about something else. In fact, I had another healer look at it. She thought it was maybe something from another lifetime. And I said, let's work on this lifetime. It's hard enough. Let's just work on this lifetime. In any case, I found an amazing person that has been doing fascial release, and it hurts. And I may or may not utter some profanities during that fascial release because it's very painful. But this is something that I was led to do because I did all the internal work. I did the healing on it. I've done everything I could possibly do. And I really believe that this path has led me to actually meet this person, because this person is like super cool and I enjoy talking to him, and he's a very sweet person to like connect to. He hurts me, but it's okay. I feel like there's always a reason of why I'm being led to where I'm being led, always. And so I trust that. I trust that process. And even in the struggle of sitting in there and trying to hold a conversation with someone who's just awesome while getting absolutely tortured and trying to hold in my profanities, which doesn't always work. There's something to that. There's something to it. There's something on the other side of that, because it actually has helped. It's gotten a little bit better. Of course, I don't do all the things that he tells me to do, but that's on me. So it is getting a little bit better. So even in that, I'm just saying, you got to trust that your path is guided. I don't want to ramble. Your path is guided. Struggles make you stronger. There's a gift in the struggle. And when you're in the struggle, I know it feels like you just want relief. Like today when I was walking back on that trail, because I was out there about an hour and the wind was pummeling me. The wind was carrying me. I felt like I could lift up my feet and I would just land at my car because the wind was so ferocious. It was pushing me. And I was trying not to step in the mud, and it was so ferocious. It was pushing me into the mud. I'm like, did I do something to the wind today? Like, what is really going on? Did it have to knock my bun down? And anyway, at the end of that, even though I was like halfway in and I thought, my God, I need to turn around. This wind is fighting. I'm going to start air punching in a minute because this wind is out of control. When I got done at the end, it was like, okay, I'm learning how to work with the elements here in Colorado. If I want to be hiking and I want to join the Cool People Club here in Colorado and hike and get with all these outdoorsy people, because that's what people in Colorado do. And I live here. I've lived here a long time. I need to get with the people and try some new things. So there's something for me to learn from that. And it's not comfortable. I wanted to hurry up and get in my car. I'm like, well, I wish the wind could just I don't know, pick me up and carry me to my car instead of pushing me the whole day. But I felt great when I was done, and I'm learning, and there's always something you can learn. So even in the struggle, try to focus on what is it that you can possibly learn and affirm, I can get through this. And I know I can, because if I couldn't get through it, I wouldn't be going through it. We don't get things that we can't get through. That it just doesn't work like that. You're a spiritual being. You're on a spiritual path. You have unseen forces leading and guiding you, and you're here for a purpose. And I'm so glad you're here, and I appreciate you. And you all are the best. I feel like I have the best community, the best clients. You guys are so sweet and kind, and I freaking love you. And let's go into a healing. So uncross your arms and legs, and I will turn on the healing. Okay, and so it is. You can start coming back into your body. And you know what's sweet? My little rescue cat came in here for the healing. I think I told you all about her. I've had her for 10 years. I've had her since she was a baby. She was abandoned on a grocery truck, or we don't have any idea. She showed up on a grocery truck. One of my coworkers, his son, worked at the grocery store, and they were unloading the truck, and they saw eyes, and they thought it was a raccoon, and it was this tiny little 5-week-old kitten all by herself. And, she was sick. She had like worms and all this other stuff. And so my coworker had cats, and his cats didn't like this kitten. And so he brought her to work, and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to give this cat to a shelter. I don't have anyone to take her. And she's a black cat. And they're worrying they won't be able to, because we were in San Antonio at the time, they were worrying that they weren't going to be able to adopt her out. So they might have to euthanize her, because they're really superstitious. It's just ignorant in San Antonio about black cats. And so he was like, well, and I don't really know where she came from. Do you think you could take her and like do Reiki on her, and then just let me know if this is when I was doing Reiki. It was a long time ago. Well, as you know, it was 10 years ago. And so I took her, and and I did some healing on her, and we had to take her to the vet. And anyway, long story short, that night his dog died, which was horrible. And so I knew then, I'm like, well, I'm stuck with her now, because there's no way I'm going to call him up and say, well, that kitten you asked me to take overnight, because he was like, if you don't want her, that's fine. I'll take her back. And I'm like, well, it's me and you, kid. She's stuck with me now. And I felt so horrible, because, oh my gosh, losing a pet is just awful. And she's turned out to be the sweetest cat. She's amazing. And she's my shadow. She is such a sweet little thing. I love her. And I always find it interesting when she joins me for healings, because cats can feel the energy. Animals can feel the energy. All animals, all living things, all beings can appreciate and experience energy healing. So anyway, she was here for the healing. And so maybe she sent you a little extra. And thank you for listening to my pet story. And I am so grateful for you. If you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, you can do so over at blendedinsight.com. And I want you to hang in there, continue to move through these challenging times. It will get better. You will get stronger. And we're all doing it together. I wish you a beautiful week. Take care. Bye-bye.